The spiritual center of my spiritual geography is New Mellery Abbey. It's a Trappist monastery just west of Dubuque. I've been going there on retreat since I was 18 years old. And what strikes me about my experience there consistently is the absolute silence of the place. When I'm sitting in the stone chapel in prayer, I almost feel like I can hear my heartbeat. It's that quiet. And when I'm absorbed into that silence, and it takes a few days to allow the internal noise in my head to dissipate, but when I'm absorbed into that silence, I don't want to leave it. And so the saints, the mystics, our spiritual masters all say to us, we can't nurture a relationship with God without silence. I think we'd all agree that we live in this very noisy, busy, fast-paced world. And it's hard to find a moment of peace, let alone silence. And yet, when we make the effort to spend even a few minutes a day in silence, it begins to change our hearts. Because God speaks to us in silence. I think of Jesus growing in the womb of the Blessed Virgin, and just this divine word growing in the silence and the sacredness of his mother. We think of the world of nature wrapped in silence. We think when the host is lifted up at Mass and we simply silently adore. Think of the silence of Eucharistic adoration, or the silence of a forest, or the silence of two people who can be comfortable with each other without saying anything, and yet are speaking volumes. So I just encourage you, I encourage myself, really to make an effort to spend some quiet time every day without our cell phones, without music, without noise, and simply to sit in silence and to be with God. To be faithful to that on a daily basis gradually changes our hearts, because that silence enters into us. And even when we're busy, distracted, anxious, we can still go deep down below the surface and below the distractions and know that God is there with us, and that in silence, he speaks.